Let's talk a little more about valved brass instruments and how they work. As you know by now, this is a tuba, but it could just as well be a trumpet, or a euphonium, or a French horn, or a flugelhorn. They all work on the same principles. The principle we want to talk about today is overtones. Overtones are all the notes that you can produce on your instrument without the usage of the valves. So let's say you play a trumpet in C. What does that mean? That means the lowest note you can produce on your instrument without valves is a C. That's called the fundamental. But you can, of course, produce many other notes above that, and those are called overtones. So we have a fundamental and many overtones. Let's say you play euphonium in B flat. That means the fundamental is a B flat. That's the lowest note you can play without the usage of the valves. And then you have many other overtones above that. One thing to know about the overtones, and we won't get into the mathematics today, but one thing to know about the overtones is that they get closer and closer to each other as we go higher and higher up. So if the lowest note is here, and the next note is here, then the next note after that might be here, and the next one would be maybe here, and the next one here, and the next one here, and at some point they get very close together as we go up into infinity. So let's take a look today at a piano keyboard that has the notes of a trumpet in C marked with red beads. You see that the lowest note is a C. C is always the note below the black twins on a piano. And as we go higher and higher, the notes get closer and closer together, and at some point you can even see the notes are right next to each other. And again, this would go off into infinity so that the notes are very close to each other. So that's the general layout of these overtones. But let's take an example so that we know exactly which notes we'll be dealing with. And you can do this in the following manner. Let's look right here. These three notes happen to make up a major chord. Now how do I know that that's a major chord? Major chord means that between these two notes there are three keys, and between these two notes there are two keys. So if you have this constellation, that's a major chord. So let's take these red beads and let's make a major chord above the fundamental, and then we'll take another major chord there, and then we'll take another C major chord there. Basically, these are the overtones. It's just that here we have a couple too many. In the first chord, we only need the lowest note. In the next chord, we need everything except for the middle note. And in the third chord, we need all three. So these are the first 6 notes that a trumpet in C can play without using the valves. Now as you see, there are many other notes, but these are the first 6. There's actually an instrument called the bugle, which does not even have valves. That means everything that the bugle plays has to be played within the system of overtones. For example, so now you know a little more about the logic behind the system of overtones on valved brass instruments.